I'm losing my mind. I'm speaking with guys on this network that I used to respect their opinions, and I just can't anymore. It's one thing for the alleged mouth in the South to say certain things yesterday and for Donnie to play the heel, but for our basketball guy, for our coach to say that Kentucky is not a top 3 job in college basketball.
Look at the poll.
I don't know, man. DRS, take it from here. Take it from here. I guess we got to talk the playoff picture in the East. I don't know. Go ahead.
Exactly. JY, before we start off talking about the playoffs in the East here, I mean, it's an agreement here. The public knows it. The smart people know it. Kentucky's just not desirable here. You can throw as much money as you want at the Kentucky position. We're not going to take it here. Nate Oates, better job in Alabama right now. He can relax. Drew down at Baylor, better job here. Even UConn sits there in Storrs, Connecticut, and we're sitting back going, you know what? I'm not going to Kentucky for what? If Coach Cal couldn't make it happen in Kentucky, why would I want to go to Kentucky where they'll throw me out in 3 years and then I got to go coach like Lemoyne State here to try to rebuild my image and try to get back to major Division I basketball here? Nobody wants Kentucky here. Nobody.
Okay. All right. Bobby the Brain Heenan, don't make this seem like it's like the 50th best job in the country.
It is. It's basically Division III.
The guy Ben's gonna have a coronary right now on set. Listen, all I'm saying is Duke, Carolina, Kansas. Kentucky's still a top 5 job. I just think, listen, yes, Ben made a great point. He made a great point. Scott Drew didn't take the job.
Oh my God!
But Mark Few didn't. But what? Listen, you mean to tell me that Nate Oates actually believes that Alabama's a better job than Kentucky? The fact that John Calipari took a $1 million pay cut to run away from Kentucky to go to another job. I think
what is the argument? What is the argument? Give me a good argument. Give me a good argument. Donnie's playing heel. Give me a good argument why Kentucky is not a top 3 job in the country. Because everything you've said so far doesn't back you up. But go ahead.
Duke, Carolina, Kansas. Are they better jobs?
Right. And by the way, so JY, who are the 2 coaches for Carolina and Duke?
Oh, John Shire and Hubert Davis.
Right. And where were they before they were hired at their current post?
They were assistant coaches. I get it. But if they went outside the family,
they were on the bench of the legacy plan to be elevated at the place they played college basketball. So let me ask a second question. If Mark Pope, who won a championship at Kentucky, was on Cal's staff for the past 5 years and not making BYU basketball into a perennial top 20 team in KenPom, would we say this is a top 3 job in college basketball?
Let me ask you this. Does Mark Pope move the needle enough for the Kentucky fan base?
Of course not. But that's not the argument. That's not the argument.
Here's the argument. If they went outside the family, right? If Carolina or Duke went outside the family, is that a better job than Kentucky? Is that a better job than Kentucky? In your opinion?
I agree that Duke and Carolina and Kentucky are the 3 best jobs in college basketball. And Kansas is probably right there as well to round out our top 4, and then we can put in whoever top 5 is. But JY, your argument is people don't want the job because it's too much pressure. Do you think in Lawrence, Kansas, if you didn't win a national championship or reach a Sweet 16 for 5 consecutive years, there would not be pressure on the head coach inside the fog? Come on. Pressure is why the job is elite. Pressure is why it's one of the best jobs, because your expectation is a national championship in Final Four. And the idea that they ran Calipari out of town. John Calipari hasn't made a Sweet 16 since 2019. John Calipari has not brought Kentucky to a Final Four since 2015. That's why he's out of town. Goodness gracious. I'm losing my mind.
If you ask Kentucky fans right now, would they rather have Coach Cal back than Mark Pope? They would take him back and say, double his salary. My goodness, Cal, why did we let you go?
I don't think
the reason being right now, if this was a top 3 position, you would have Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, and Jay Wright getting phone calls and saying, you know what?
Stop. Come on, man. No, you wouldn't.
Good to go to.
They walked away from the game because of the current climate.
Pope. You got a coach that most people go, who is that here? In Kentucky, I would love to be on Sports Talk Radio today in Kentucky, because those people are literally walking out going, I'm giving up. I don't want my tickets anymore. Rupp Arena, we are the new Louisville right now at this point. That's what they're thinking right now. We couldn't even attract a legit coach. You couldn't even attract one.
Scott Drew turned down Louisville as well for what it is worth. Secondly, I'm not going to argue that the hire of Mark Pope is not as sexy as a Billy Donovan or a Scott Drew or, of course, a Dan Hurley. But the idea that Kentucky is not a top 3 job in college basketball or top 5, or as Donnie and Mark Zinno tried to tell me yesterday, not top 10 in the country is ridiculous. And if the argument is because the pressure to win a national championship is too much for some of these big names, get out of town with that.
That's a big reason. That's a big reason. Why would you leave? Why these guys aren't leaving their programs? Because they're legends where they're already at, and they might make a Final Four once every 5 years. Why go to Kentucky with that pressure and get blown away there? Billy Gillispie got blown out in 2 years. They hated Tubby back in the day, too, and that guy won national championships. Calipari won a national championship, and they chased him out of here. That's why if I'm another coach going like, that's not a top job for me.
He won a national championship in 2012. That's over a decade ago.
One. Most schools would take that in a heartbeat. It's like, man, Coach Cal's bringing in top-level recruits every single year. The pressure is not worth the hype at Kentucky. It's a pro basketball team playing in college basketball.
We have a graphic.
That's why they got Mark Pope. We have a graphic. They're not a top job. That's why they got him.
We have a graphic that displays Kentucky's pantheon in college basketball, where they have won the second most national championships in history. Exactly. It's not in modern times. 2012 is a long time ago in this juncture. UConn has won 3 national championships in that span.
They've only won 1 national championship since
UNC
2012.
has won 2 national championships.
You just answered your own question. Back in the day,
what do you mean?
Top job. You just answered your own question. It's not a great job then because they haven't won in 10 years.
Exactly. So saying? Baylor's a top 3 job because they won 2 years ago? That's what you're saying?
For a coach, yes. Because
Villanova's
he
a top 5 job?
For 20 years and not get pressured to get fired. You're talking about guys. If it was such a great job,
it's one of the craziest arguments ever. It's one of the craziest arguments ever.
Tomorrow. No, it's not. The evidence speaks to that. You got Mark Pope.
DRS,
come on now.
DRS, to be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, maybe the biggest one out there, comes with a lot of pressure. If you don't bring returns to your company in 2 years, you are going to be kicked out. But making $15 million a year is not a top job? In our industry, to be the host of whatever you want to say,
if I have a CEO job where I know I can stay for 20 years and be a legend, I'm going to stay at that school. Why would I move over and get canned in 2 years because I don't have the top country?
Calipari was there for 15 years.
Yeah.
He was there for 15 years. They didn't run him out of town. They ran him out of town after he did not make the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. The second weekend for 5 years. Call your timeout, JY. What?
All I'm saying is top 4. I love you guys. You're both making great points. But listen, I'm going to just leave it with this. The team with the most Final Fours and national championships is UCLA. Where do we put that as regards to top jobs in the country?
Probably one of the top 10.
Okay. So you say, listen, you say, hold on. You listen, you say 3, I say 4. We're not that far apart. Okay, Donnie is saying outside top 10. That's a little bit wild.
I never said outside top. I'm just using that as a baseboard there. Kentucky is not a top job. Top job to me is top 5. And top job means you get the best candidates breaking down your door to try to get that job. And you saw the best candidates run away from Kentucky. So for me, that can't be described as a top job anymore. That's all.
I don't think he's talking.
This whole argument started because JY came in with a heated take that Kentucky's not a top 3 job, and he wants to say it's 4th best.